Hey guys, so welcome back to the Greatest of 22. Let's carry on where we left off. It's part 2 of Trial 1, and Mini Memo is now on the stand, ready to testify about what exactly happened to Miss Giselle Britt in that beach hut. Thankfully, we were already aware of most of the details, the fact that she was poisoned and she was stabbed. They weren't entirely related, however. There was no poison coated on the knife, which leaves only the fountain pen in her hand as the vessel that contained the poison. And I have a inkling, pun intended if you will, that Mini Memo is of course the culprit. As he stands here and takes a bunch of photos of me, I'm feeling really uncomfortable. Probably because all those photos are going to turn out to be shit, thanks to that cracked lens of yours. Let's start pressing him, shall we? Let's start guiding Susato, or Ryotaro, to the correct conclusion that this guy is the murderer. The beach hut was made of shoddy old reed screen, so there were plenty of gaps I could see inside through.
Hold it!
Yeah, you pervert. What made you want to see what was happening inside the beach hut in the first place? Call it journo instinct. Can't you think of a better reason? Oh, I don't know. Perhaps because as well as being a proven criminal, the person inside was a young woman? Oh, I see where you're going with this. Brace yourselves, people. He's painting the journo as a voyeur. What are you flexing for? Is that going to somehow make it okay? It's hardly slander, sir. You had a camera and you were taking pictures without the woman's knowledge. Nope. You've got it all wrong, little student boy. Sorry? You've got it all wrong too. I'm not a student boy whatsoever. To my mind, all that was inside that hut was a scoop. Nothing more, nothing less. Scoops know no gender. Man or woman, it's all news. That's not even Mini Memoism. It's basic journalism. If only the courtroom was as indiscriminate. Oh, poor Susato. Right, so if that's all buttoned up, can we move on? Tell the court then, witness, what sight befell your eyes when you looked inside the hut? A sight that vindicated my journo instinct, that's what. When I pulled back the reeds, I could see it all as clear as day. Why the hell did you kill Miss Britt, Mini Memo? The English woman was sitting on a stool when the student girl came in and started arguing with her.
Hold it!
So you actually saw Membami-san entering the hut? Yup, and she was raging like my journo spirit. And the argument you mentioned, what was that about exactly? You stole it, I didn't steal it, that kind of thing. Talking about the poison, I suppose. The student girl walked right up to the English woman and really started laying into her. I mean, if she laid into any more, there would have been eggs. Alright. That's definitely a Mini Memoism. The man should have been an author. His descriptive talents are wasted on journalism. But the student's rantings fell on deaf ears, like a Japanese person listening to English for the first time. He really ought to work on his similes first, though, to be honest. Anyway, the point is, that woman in the dock was mightily angry. And her temper finally got the better of her, it seems. Dear me. Which was the climactic moment that I caught on film. Oh. Seconds later, the girl pulled out a knife, throwing the Englishwoman to the floor as she stabbed her in the back. Really? Is that exactly what happened? Do you swear before this court that you actually saw the precise moment when the stabbing took place? Ha! The precise moment? I didn't just see that. I saw the whole hellish scene play out from start to finish. I have here a simple plan of the beach hut. Perhaps you could use it to explain to the court exactly what you witnessed. Let me maintain this pose for a little bit. Right you are. It's all here in my Mini Memo pad. Wow, it's like we're playing Blue's Clues with Mini Memo. When I first peered into the hut, I'm sure that the Englishwoman was on this stool at the back of the hut here. Yes, the accused's own testimony confirmed that. She just sat at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly, is what I have noted down. It's my turn to testify now. Shut the fuck up. Try not to interrupt. Ugh. Rude. Then the next moment, as I was watching, The evil student girl entered the hut like a dark spirit. That's why her little symbol on this diagram is in black for dark arts. After a while, the pair of them ended up in the middle of a hut, arguing furiously. The Englishwoman went for the student, but the girl dodged out of the way and in a flash plunged the knife into her adversary's back as the two passed each other. Damn, she's got some moves then. She managed to take down a British spy like that? What you describe as a grim crime indeed. Ah, never sugarcoat the truth. That's what many memoism says. The beach hut plan has been entered into the court record. Okay, plan of the layout of the small hut where the victim was found. Glad I managed to press that out of him. By the way, Memo-san, whilst you were watching that terrible scene unfold before your eyes through the gap in the screen, what were you doing? Did it not occur to you to try to prevent the tragedy, rather than capture it on film? Damn journos! Journos have to be observers! We can't get involved. That's our raison d'etre. D'etre? So you didn't confess with Miss Brad at all? Obviously not. She was dead as a doornail by the time I got in close, supposedly. The observer always remains on the outside looking in. And that's something to be proud of, is it? Your Excellency, if I may. Yes, Professor. I think the witness's last expertly phrased statement should perhaps be added to his formal testimony. Father, what are you... I will grant the defense's request. Memo-san, you will supplement your formal testimony with the aforementioned statement. Well, nihilism is the foundation of many memoism, but I'll gladly prove that my words aren't meaningless. Oh, I can't wait to shatter them. I never once set foot in the hut, nor spoke with the Englishwoman. I was there only as an observer. Alright, I think we need to present the pin here for sure now. But first, let's take a look at the layout of the hut. There's nothing, of course, to examine here. Alright, I'm taking a stab at it. Pun intended again. With the pen.
Objection!
Good. Alright. I love it when I get it right first try. Many members on until now I've had a firm belief that newspapers are in the business of uncovering and publishing the truth. You're spot on there. The press doesn't lie, which is why I'm proud to wear the emblem of the Shoyu News on my arm. Oh, you just dug your own grave there, Many Memos. Should have been digging for sandcastles at the beach. In a way, that's more Many Memoism. Sadly, though, it seems the journalists who write for those papers don't always share the same passion for the truth. What? What are you suggesting with those recriminatory words, Counsel? Memo-san, do you recognize this fountain pen? This pen was found at the scene of Miss Brett's death. In fact, the murdered victim was gripping it in her hand as she died. What are you... If you look at the barrel of the pen, you'll notice that its owner's initials are engraved there. R.M. Yes, thank you for bringing that up, Counsel. The initials of the accused, Raymond Barney. God, she's the only person in the world who has those initials. Is it a coincidence, I wonder, that your initials are also RM? No! What about you? You're R... Oh, wait, never mind. You're RN. That's not the same as RM. Okay, never mind. Write in Mini Memo. RM. That's horse dung. Can't you see? One of the central tenets of many memoism is being a pencil user. And yet, as the court will clearly be able to see, on your right hand, you've got blue ink. It's a very obvious blue ink stain. It would appear that you must have rather carelessly left it somewhere recently. Your favorite fountain pen, that is. Oh, horsey horse dung! Bullshit! Memo-san, is it not the case that before she died, you met with Giselle Brett in that beach hut? Well, I don't think he met with her in the beach hut, unfortunately. He certainly stabbed her through the reams.
Objection!
Why should we listen to this absurd nonsense? It's nothing but another excuse. I mean, she shouldn't be able to do her job. I mean, he. Exactly. Shoyu News will stand behind me all the way. I deny everything. There must be as many people with the initials RM as there are stars in the night sky. The defense has neither the time nor the inclination to count every star in the sky, even if that would buy me time for my client. And then there's no need anyway, because this pen has more to tell. Yes, there is another clue. A clue that undeniably proves who its owner really is. In that case, counsel, the defense will now show the court where this alleged clue lies. Of course, Your Excellency. Gladly. The clue on this fountain pen that clearly reveals its owner's identity is... It is, right here, Your Excellency. Let's make sure I get it right.
Got it!
Got it! As well as the initials, there's also an emblem on this fountain pen. An emblem that you will of course recognize. Minimomo-san.
Goodness me. It's the emblem of the Shoyu News.
In other words, the owner of this pen is an employee of the Shoyu News whose initials are RM. Does that narrow it down for you, you dingbat? Suddenly the stars in the night sky don't seem so numerous, do they? Well, Minimomo-san, how do you respond?
No! God!
Alright.
Breakdown's coming early, it seems. Order, order! Explain yourself, witness.
So, this is how the mighty Supreme Court works, is it? Using coercive tactics to have well-meaning citizens reveal harmless secrets. I've used nothing but honest tactics. I'm not coercing you. Do I look like I'm twisting your arm or putting a gun to your head, sir? Uh-oh.
Oh, I thought he was going to reveal his true face for a second there.
Alright then, fine. I won't try to hide it anymore. Yes, not long before that grim tragedy unfolded. I gave her a look at my pecs. I, a Shoyu News reporter, on behalf of the public, conducted an interview with the Englishwoman. An interview?
You never mentioned this before.
When exactly was this? As I said, it was before that evil little student girl showed her face in the hut. It couldn't have lasted more than 2 or 3 minutes, that's all. It was just a brief exchange. What kind of interview lasts 2 or 3 minutes, sir? Especially one where you have to write a whole article. But it came to nothing, and as we many memoists say, the people don't pay their dues for unworthy news. Nice tagline.
However insignificant you deem it to be, this court cannot overlook the meeting between yourself and the victim. You will testify now under oath about the precise nature of this meeting and what transpired.
Got it. Yes, alright. But on one condition. Condition? In all good conscience, I couldn't speak out alone about this. You need to call back the earlier witness, Soseki Natsume-san. Soseki-san? Oh yes, according to my notes here, that man, oh, that man's a doozy, that one. Has a secret of his own. Embrace yourselves, because it's not a harmless one. It's big, like my pecs. What? Uh-oh. Minimoism states that one man's secret is every other man's front page story.
Very well. I will grant the witness's request in this instance.
Oh my god. Judge, you're supposed to be presiding over this court. You decide everything, not the witness.
Officer, summon the earlier witness back to the stand.
Soseki-san, hiding something? What the hell is he concealing from me? Welcome back. Witness testimony! The witness's secrets. Can't believe this guy's throwing Soseki under the bus. I asked the Englishwoman for an interview, but she declined, so I left the hut without making a fuss. Then, watching secretly from outside, I saw the woman being stabbed, and the other witnesses come running. The detective realized the victim still had a pulse, so he ran off to fetch help. That's when this writer man here asked the woman a very significant question. But he didn't say anything about that in his testimony, which is why many memoism demands I reveal it now, to save my own skin. Got it. Understood. Well, Saseki didn't say anything, he just looked like a paranoid individual once again.
You mean to say the victim...
The victim regained consciousness? And when she did, you decided to ask her a question instead of trying to save her life? What the hell's going on here? You guys are useless. That's, true. Yes. He did, and that's not all. The woman gave him a very definite answer. An answer that incriminates the accused. Great. This is preposterous. Why am I only hearing about this now? Why didn't you mention this before, you yokel hack? It wasn't even a conversation. Yes, I did pose the withering English Rose a question. I don't deny it. But she could no longer speak. She was barely conscious even.
Counsel for the defense, I expect a thorough cross-examination to be conducted here. This court must and will know the truth.
Absolutely, Your Excellency. Why is it my job to coax the truth out of him? You should have said it in the first place. The report is claiming that Miss Brett implicated Ray somehow? What on earth could have happened in that hut? Well, we got more statements to press, I suppose. The witness's secrets. I was seeing this woman for an interview, but she declined, so I left the hut without making a fuss.
Hold it!
You approached her then and there in the hut? You asked her for an interview, you say? Well, of course I did. I wanted to ask her about the incident she was involved in at the end of last year. About the case in which Dr. John H. Wilson lost his life. That's not the way I phrased it. Many memoism calls for straight talking. Why did you murder Dr. Wilson? Is how I put it to her. Wow, straight for the jugular, I see. Yes, that sort of talking is as straight as a ruler. Ask every question as if you're asking for a menu in a restaurant, I say. It's the best way. No tact whatsoever. A veteran at the paper taught me that. And how did Miss Brett answer? With one simple phrase. Mystery is a woman's charm. Interesting. Phew, that told me. Oh, so I waltzed right out of there. That's all it took? Really? Something about that doesn't seem to fit together. Leave every room as if you're waltzing in a dance hall, I say. It's the best way. A veteran at the paper taught me that. Taught you a lot of things, it seems. Then, watching secretly from outside, I saw the woman being stabbed and the other witnesses come running.
Hold it!
That was very persistent of you, considering that Miss Brett had just turned you away. Persistence wins the prize. Many memoists will tell you that. Let them think you've left, then just when they lower their guard, that's when you swoop in for the scoop. And the fruits of your labor are all too apparent in this telling photograph. Though I'm sure the young yokel student would rather not be reminded of this damning evidence. It's damn evidence for sure, it's not damning. It's a piece of crap. It's taken so wildly out of context. This might as well be a freaking Twitter thread. Actually, it's thanks to that photograph that we managed to identify this witness. And now that you found me, I'll tell you whatever you want to know. I've got nothing to hide. I'm sure. 100%. Please do go ahead, witness. The court is eager to hear what you have to say. Trying to stop me. There's a story to tell here, and I'm going to tell it. Surely Natsume would be more qualified to tell this story. The detective realized that the victim still had a pulse, so he ran off to fetch help.
Hold it!
How was that all about? She survived at first instance? And Soseki-san remained behind in the hut. That's right, yep. Our author friend here was a blabbering wreck, shaking all over from his head to his toes, moustache twitching, eyes bulging, kind of like what he's doing now. It's like he's constantly in this panicked state. What do you expect? You don't know the terrifying troubles that taunted me whilst traveling abroad. Back behind baleful bars. They'll be coming for me, surely. That's all I could think. I felt as though I were gasping for air, drowning in a sea of cold sweat. Poor Soseki-san. His experiences in London have scarred him deeply. As the world seemed to close in around me, I quietly recited a prayer to Amida Buddha. Eternal emptiness, empty eternity. The end is coming for me, surely.
No sutras are to resound in my courtroom, please.
And now we've come to the crucial part. That's when it happened. Really? Describe it. Describe what you did, Minimum. That's where this writer man here asked the woman a very significant question.
Hold it!
What question? What exactly did he say? Well, now, you should hear that from the horse's mouth, I think. We'll be lucky if we get it clearly. It's probably going to be full of stutters and gasps. He's hyperventilating. Someone save this man. Don't you, Mr. Writer man? Ah! Out with it, you yokel hack. What did you say to her? What did you say to the dying Englishwoman? Well, in truth, I'd be catching crabs at the water's edge and building castles in the sand, you see. You've been catching crabs, Saseki? Oh, no.
Well, the seaside is a place to be at leisure, I suppose, even for a grown man.
But then all of a sudden, from that little beach hut, a young girl's panic-stricken cries for help pierced the air. Ray. I ran up the beach to see what was happening, to find the defendant leaning over the collapsed victim. As soon as Inspector Hosonaga saw Miss Brett on the ground, he sprinted off to get help. And then, just a moment later, I heard a faint moan. A moan from the dead Englishwoman. I nearly jumped out of my skin! But what did you ask her, Soseki-san? I asked her, who did this to you? I figured that was the question he was going to be asking. Huh?
Don't protract this any longer. How did the woman respond? I need this. I need this cliffhanger resolved pronto.
She didn't. She said nothing in response. But.
When in the stand, you will answer the questions asked of you unambiguously. Now, without evasion or reticence, I demand that you amend your testimony.
I will. Thank you. An amendment. I asked her who did this to you, but she never replied. Okay, she never replied. That makes sense. Let me just check her post-mortem report real quick. Time of death 11th of August around 2 p.m. ascertained by examination and witness statements. Single deep stab wound from behind, piercing lung, resulting in a fatal hemorrhage. Death would have occurred within minutes. Pupil dilation. Okay, well, nothing really contradicts what he's just said here. I don't think. What else? She never replied. Well, let's press him then.
Hold it!
See what he has to say about this. So you tried to find out who the culprit was? He who asks a question is a fool for a minute. He who does not remains a fool forever. And having been labelled a criminal twice during my time in Great Britain, I was quick to make up my mind. Better to be a fool for a minute than remain a fool in prison forever. However, you've indicated that the victim failed to respond, is that correct? I know why. I know why the Englishwoman said nothing. She was ignoring me because of my stupid moustache, because I'm Japanese. Oh, really? Well, she must have been ignoring a lot of people because she was here in Japan. Oh dear. Soseki-san has really developed a dislike for the English, it seems. I don't blame him. Having read the report on his time in Great Britain, I can't say I'm surprised at his xenophobia. But the Englishwoman didn't ignore you at all, did she, Mr. Writer Man? Well, yes, alright. She did respond in a matter of speaking, I suppose. She just lifted a trembling finger and pointed in the direction of the defendant. Oh, okay. Really? Interesting.
Hold it!
Miss Brett pointed a finger at the defendant. Soseki-san, is that really true? I plead the fifth. It's not easy to stand here and say this, but when we first entered the beach hut, the Englishwoman was sprawled on the floor before us, with the student girl standing on the far side of her. And when I asked who did this to you, the Englishwoman summoned her last ounce of strength to point a trembling finger at the back of the hut. Right, where, our good friend Minnie Memo was standing behind the beach hut. Which was, it can't be denied, in the direction of the student girl who stands accused today. Classic. No, I'm not pointing at her. I'm pointing at the person behind her. No.
Saseki-san, why on earth did you neglect to mention this in your original testimony?
But fiddlesticks, I say.
This is not a British court of law. You will respond in Japanese.
Oh, yes, of course. The Englishwoman did point her finger towards the back of the hut, but I was trembling, and she was trembling, and everything was a blur. Her finger, and I was pointing at her, and then she was pointing at the corner because her finger was shaking so much. And thinking about it, I feel as though perhaps she was pointing in a slightly different direction. Actually, no! Not slightly, in a very different direction to where the student girl was standing!
Oh my god, Saseki, what the fuck? You said it! I didn't have to pry it out of you, you just did it! What a brave man you are.
To somewhere at the back of the hut, where nobody was standing at all! You mean that your memory of events and the direction in which the victim was pointing are both unclear? Yes, that's it! Unclear! Very, very unclear. Yeah, that's the word.
Objection!
Your Excellency, surely this proves the matter beyond all reasonable doubt. Oh, now we care about beyond all reasonable doubt, huh? Yes, the woman may barely have been conscious. And yes, perhaps her finger wavered slightly. But there can be no doubt that this was an attempt by the victim to confirm the identity of her assailant. Why? Because, as the court can see, there was no one other than the accused in the direction the victim was pointing. It's now abundantly clear that no one besides the accused could possibly have committed this crime. I am inclined to agree, and in the absence of any credible argument to the contrary, I believe we can now conclude this trial.
No. No! I mean, come on, where did the photo get taken, guys? The headline's writing itself. Dashing lawyers hopes dash. 19 point across the whole page. We'll do an extra edition. This is a serious blow, Susato. Unless we're able to identify the true culprit and substantiate our claim with evidence, the judge will give his ruling, and the trial will be over. But that's impossible, Father. We don't even know how the crime was committed yet. Impossible though the task may seem, we have no choice. We must think back over everything we've learned thus far. Somewhere in all those details, I'm confident we'll find the clue we need. Ray gave us her account of how events unfolded in the defendant's antechamber before the trial resumed. She told us what happened at the precise moment Miss Brett was killed. That she did. The Englishwoman was sitting at the back of the hut, listening to what I was saying. And then, a moment later, she suddenly got to her feet. Before collapsing on the floor in front of me, with a knife in her back. But how did she get poisoned by the pen? Was she fiddling with it or something? And, maybe she hadn't quite poisoned herself and Manny Memo was trying to, I don't know, cover his bases. Be like, well, if she's not going to poison herself, I might as well just stab her. And then she somehow inflicted the poison when she tried to use the pen to write a name. I don't know. That's something we, that's probably the last piece of the puzzle we have yet to put into place. How could Miss Brett have been stabbed in the back in a beach hut that was empty but for herself and Ray? Somewhere amid all the information we've gathered so far, there must be an answer to that question.
I take it then that the defense has nothing further to add.
So, the gallant yokel student's luck finally runs out. God, about freaking time. I can't say I'm surprised.
In that case, I am ready to deliver my final verdict on this matter.
This is a crucial turning point now. If I can't establish what really happened, it's over. Where was the real culprit hiding? And how did he or she stab the victim? I know how.
Objection!
Objection!
Yes, dramatic montage. Oh, you're sweating bullets.
Your Excellency, I respectfully ask you to postpone your adjudication for the time being.
Oh? To what end, counsel? What? I can't manipulate you, but everyone else can?
The defense would like to present the court with an alternative theory. An alternative theory that could explain who the victim was actually trying to implicate with her dying gesture.
Objection!
Alternative facts, guys. An alternative theory? Ha! None exists. There's no such thing as an alternative theory. There's only one truth and one theory.
Objection!
There was someone else present at the scene who could have committed this crime.
What?
And the victim, Miss Brett, tried to reveal who it was to those around her at the time. by mustering all her remaining strength and pointing a trembling finger in the killer's direction.
This is fiction, fantasy. It's all made up. This is beyond belief, fact or fiction. Get Jonathan Frakes in here. Very well. As you seem so sure of yourself, Counsel, I am prepared to hear your alternative theory. So, young Ryutaro Naruhodo.
Yes, that's me, Your Excellency.
You will present your latest theory to the court by means of this plan. At the moment the victim was stabbed, where exactly are you proposing the culprit was concealed? The culprit was concealed. We gotta think outside the box for this one. Yeah, right here.
Take that!
Naruhodo-san would never give up. And I'm a Naruhodo now. I've adopted the name, kind of like Rey Skywalker. Which is stuck for another 200 years. The culprit who fatally stabbed Miss Brett was concealed in this location here.
Are you mad, Counsel? Are you pointing a trembling finger in the wrong direction too? You're suggesting the culprit was outside the hut? What? I'm pointing exactly where Miss Brett was pointing. Order, order, order!
Consider lawyer Naruhodo-san, Esquire. That makes no sense at all.
You've just pointed out the exact spot where I was hiding to get my escape snap. Oh, well, thanks for the confession. Done. You just admitted someone else was there. But I didn't see any suspicious individuals loitering about. I can swear to that. Well, yeah, you probably weren't looking down at yourself. Obviously, if the culprit had been outside the hut, there's no way that he or she could have stabbed the victim who was inside the hut. It's physically impossible.
Actually, Prosecutor Ouchie, there is a way. And, in point of fact, the defense can provide evidence strongly suggesting that is precisely the way Miss Brett was killed.
You're bluffing! You're bluffing, you yokel! The defense's assertion is clearly too fantastical for the court to comprehend. No, Ouchie is not the court. You will need to give us more guidance, Counsel. What piece of evidence corroborates your theory that the victim was stabbed from outside the hut?
I want to give this photograph here, because we've got just like a tiny slit here, a tiny opening, and that's where it would have been, that's where it would have occurred, and I think that's probably the best thing to present here. Right?
It has to be. I'm doing it. The original photographic print of the crime scene.
Yes, it's clearly visible in this print. The trace of the fatal thrust that was delivered from outside the beach hut.
Objection!
Do you take us for fools? There's no hint of any such thing.
I'm not sure that everyone present would agree. You see, I've got a magnifying glass. Someone, at least, appears to have noticed what it is that I'm referring to.
Counsel, once again, I must call on you to be explicit for the court. Where on this photograph is the trace of the stabbing, which you claim took place from outside the hut? Okay, I'm just gonna keep at it. This part here.
Take that!
Look closely just here. In the screen at the back of the hut, you can see the effects of a blade having been forced through the reeds.
No! I can't! I can't see any such thing! I'm closed my eyes, I can't see nothing!
It's true that the hut in question had four walls as you'd expect, however. By parting the reeds, a knife blade could easily penetrate them.
This is extraordinary!
I'm pretty extraordinary. Yes. The true culprit actually stabbed the victim from outside the beach hut.
Oh!
And of everyone present at the scene, there is only one person who could have done that. Only one person who was directly outside the hut when Miss Brett was killed. Right in Minimamo-san. It could only have been you.
No! No, that's not true!
Objection!
This preposterous idea leaves me almost speechless. Just look at the photograph again. The victim lies almost exactly in the center of the beach hut, is she not? Are we to assume that part of this farcical scenario, that the assailant was a knife thrower? What, was he in the circus? Did he just freaking juggle the knife?
Objection!
No, of course not.
We're not. What?
If you recall the testimony of the defendant about the events just before the victim's death. Inside the beach hut, I confronted Miss Brett. But she just sat on the stool at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly at me as if she knew she was untouchable.
A stool?
Have another look at the photograph. Clearly, you're blind. Get some new glasses, Ouchie, please. The slit in the read screen would align perfectly with the back of a person who was sitting on that stool.
My word. So, in fact, the victim was...
Killed whilst sitting on that stool by a stab wound to her back delivered through the read screen.
Ah!
Having been attacked, Miss Brett rose to her feet instinctively. But then, unable to speak, she collapsed on the floor in the middle of the hut, before the defendant, Membami-san's appalled eyes. And that, Your Excellency, is the truth of what happened on the beach that day.
There you go, case closed. Bring on chapter 2.
By your silence, Menimemo-san, I take it that you don't deny the charge.
I wonder, is he gonna have like an evil face once he takes that hat off his face? Or not? This is absurd! Oh no, he's starting to adopt Soseki-san's voice. That will do. It would appear that we have a tacit admission of guilt from the witness. Accordingly, this court has successfully established the truth of this matter, which means that the defendant, Membami-san, is innocent of the crime.
Oh, just like that, done. We're dead. We did it. Oh, thank goodness. I finally made him cave.
I must say, I've never been more proud. No, this can't be. The Ouchie clan can't. What of my growth? My growth of hope? It wasn't all an apparition. I can't accept this. I won't. I see no reason for the continuance of this trial. I will therefore move to conclude proceedings by delivering my final verdict and... Hold it! Even if you come up with something, we've established reasonable doubt.
Ha ha ha! Well, this is all very convenient. This is how the highest court in our mighty empire delivers justice, is it? Suppressing well-meaning citizens' freedom to speak and branding them as criminals. What, you hate the media, Judge? But we've established that the victim was stabbed from outside the hut, through the read screen walls.
And no one but you was in place at the time to have his hand on the hilt of the blade. What's his argument going to be? Oh, actually, the stab isn't what killed her, it was the poison. And there was no poison on the knife, so it couldn't have been me. I'm at most guilty of attempted murder. It's probably what his argument's going to be. It's a perfectly logical deduction.
So, your argument hinges on the location of whoever stabbed the Englishwoman, does it? Well, seems a little irrelevant now. Irrelevant? Where she was stabbed, how she was stabbed. It doesn't matter. I mean, whether she was stabbed at all makes no difference if you think about it, because she died of poison, you lunatics. I'm the fucking man. After all, this trial's already shown the whole thing hinges on something else. What? What are you talking about? Brace yourself, little man. I'm talking about the fact that everything's changed. Because of that dirt you dug up. What?
Enough obscurity. Explain yourself, witness.
What's to explain? I'm talking about the poison, of course. The poison? I'll do your fucking job, do I? Ouchie? Let's ask the professor for a comment on the situation, shall we? I understand that a deadly poison you were developing was stolen from your laboratory, correct? And it's been shown that this poison was administered to the victim, Miss Brett. Is that right?
That is correct. The unusual constriction of the victim's pupils are a sure sign that this particular poison was used.
I see, I see. So, presumably that means that the victim already had the poison in her body before she was stabbed? Ah.
Given that her pupils were clearly constricted, it seems highly likely, yes.
So someone else killed her before I could, so technically I'm not a murderer.
If she had been dead already, the poison could not have circulated in her blood.
My growth! It's safe, I think.
How refreshing to hear the argument of a metropolitan mind. Precisely! It matters not a jot who stabbed whom and whose back and with whose blade. Because, quite simply, the Englishwoman's life was taken not by the knife, but by the poison.
Objection!
But that can be explained by the poison being on the blade, as I already...
Objection!
Nope. Can't do that. Ta! Forgot already, have we, yokel? During these very proceedings, the laboratory of the professor at your side assisted in proving that the blade and the weapon used to attack the victim had no trace of poison on it whatsoever.
So let me get this down. The facts, as skillfully established by the defense in this trial, turn out to be a headline-making red herring. Is that about right?
Well... Order! But where does this leave us? How, in that case, did the poison enter the victim's body?
There's an undeniably obvious answer to that. The lady most likely imbibed it.
You mean she drank it? Have another look at the photograph here. As you can see.
Oh, and the wine.
Sorry, water. A bottle of carbonated water in a glass had been knocked onto the sandy floor of the beach hut. The poison could have been slipped into either.
So somebody made Miss Brett drink it. Well, what do you know? Look at those dashing eyes. This will make for a great front page shot. Hey, why the bewitching stare? After all, I'm the last person you should be looking at. It would make no sense at all that I poisoned the woman, would it? I mean, that's been established already. Why would I poison and stab her? It's a bit of an overkill, isn't it?
Hold it!
Established? What are you talking about? Don't tell me you've forgotten. That's a little hard to believe, given that the person who established it was you.
Me? What on earth does he mean?
Oh, let me capture those wide eyes. This is prime press fodder, this is.
I don't want your shitty photos. It would seem that this trial is not destined to end just yet, after all. I hereby call upon the witness to give further testimony.
That's great, that is. Let me get a shot of that magnificent beard, Your Excellency. I'm happy to testify.